Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, I'm uploading videos and getting all cozy for the evening. And I'm sitting here drinking my leftover coffee that I got earlier today. I got a venti iced coffee with an extra shot and one stevia in it because my friend Valerie told me that stevia is healthier for you than equal and sugar substitute. So that's what I have been using. And yeah, so I'm uploading a drama video, a Peterisms video, and a review. So Caroline and I were gone most of the afternoon. She came and got me at 12:30, and we like ran around all day. She took me to run a bunch of errands. We went to Macy's. I had to return some stuff, well, exchange some stuff that didn't fit. And then we went to Target because she had a bunch of things she needed to get from Target. I got a few things at Target, but nothing really exciting. And then we went through Starbucks. Oh, we went to the post office. I want to say a very, very special thank you. First of all, I got like 30 more Christmas cards in the mail, which was unbelievable. I like went to my post office box and I like opened it and I was like, oh my God, there were like so many more cards. So I have even more Christmas cards to go through, which is really exciting. So I want to say thank you to everybody that sent me a Christmas card this year, holiday card. I really, really appreciate it. And I also had a package to pick up, and it was from Lucy. And so Lucy sent Alex and I a brand new Keurig, which was unbelievable. It was so nice. And I just want to say, Lucy, I really, really appreciate it. It means the world to me. And she had said to me, I think she sent me an email, and she said in the email that she had sent something that I had been talking about in a vlog that we had been wanting to get, because I had been talking on here about like I had gotten the last Keurig that we have. I got it like right before the lockdown, and I just don't think it works very well anymore. So that was so sweet. I'm so excited about it. I know it was really like over the top. You didn't have to do that. I really appreciate it. And she like put a really nice little note in it with everything and included in there. And so anyway, Lucy, thank you so much. That was that was more than you needed to do. It was just really unbelievable. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, and it's just been a really nice day. I went to bed early again last night. I went to bed about, I don't even know what we did last night. Well, Alex watched a little bit of his show, and then I got some food out and was eating it. And then I was watching an episode of The Queen of Versailles Reigns Again, which I guess was like the series originally came out on Discovery Plus, and then HBO Max picked it up. So if you guys, I don't know if I talked about it on here yesterday or not, but it's the follow-up to like the documentary from like 10 years ago, which was about Jackie and David Siegel that were building the house, the largest single family dwelling home in the United States. It's massive. So anyway, I was watching an episode of that, and then I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. So I went to bed about 11 something, and Alex came up shortly after. He's been watching this show called The Girl in the Mirror. Mm-hmm. Girl in the Mirror. And went to bed early, and I woke up like 4 o'clock in the morning. Boo Radley woke me up to go outside, and I was like wide awake. He was like crying in bed. He was like, mm. So I took him outside, and he ran around a little bit. And then I brought him back, and well, he ran downstairs to eat some of his food. And then he went back upstairs. I think Alex must have picked him up and put him into bed. And so I was like wide awake, and I was like, well, I guess I'll watch an episode or two, because the episodes are only like 35 minutes long, and I ended up watching the entire series and staying up way too late. But it was fun. So I binge watched that series last night and finished it, and that was the review that I did today over my channel. I did the review of The Queen of Versailles Reigns Again. So yeah, so if you've watched it, go check out my review, and if you're not going to watch it, go check out my review and let me know what you think. And then I did this video on my BookTube channel about how so I have the book club with Mel, the True Crime Book Club, a true crime book club. But then I had also started, I think it was 2 years ago. I thought it had to have been 2 years ago, because so it would have been going in like the January of 2020 was like the first month that I did it, where I just picked a book and then I posted it on Instagram, and then that would be a book that we would all collectively read for the month, anybody that wanted to read it, and then I would do a review of it on my channel. And then, and that was it. And it was just called Peter's Book Club. It was really no deeper than that. It was just kind of like a read-along kind of thing. And so I did a video called Quitting the Book Club or something like that, you know, and asked people like if they wanted me to start it up again or what they thought. I mean, it's really easy. I just pick a book. I make it like tougher on myself because I feel like I have to pick like the perfect book to read. So I had it narrowed down to 3 books. I had a cozy mystery and then 2 other books. And so I was just kind of like reading through all the comments today to see what people thought. And then I was kind of going back and forth, and I was looking at the books again to see what I thought. And so I finally narrowed down the January 2023 book for Peter's Book Club. And that video will be up in the next couple of days so that everybody can prepare for reading that with me. So if you guys want to read along with me, I will be posting that on Instagram. I'm really excited about that, to start that up again. I know it's corny, but I'm trying to do a lot of things that will motivate me and inspire me to be reading regularly again. And so it's like starting a true crime book club back up again. It's like one of those things. Starting Peter's Book Club, that will at least be 2 books a month that I'll be reading. And then, you know, other things in between. I think it will like really motivate me to get like going again. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And then that was it. That was kind of my day. It was kind of a relaxing day. Caroline and I just like drove around and laughed. And we didn't do brunch today. Neither of us were very hungry. And so I think she ate before she came here. And it was nice. It was nice and relaxing day. And then her stepson is still in town until I think the 3rd. And so they're doing a lot of stuff in the evening, and she's got stuff planned, like a movie one night. I think they were going to a movie tonight maybe, because she was telling me they were either going to go to Avatar, or her other stepson wanted to go see Deadly Santa or whatever that, Deadly something, I don't know. But she wasn't real excited about that one. And so she wanted to see Avatar, I think. So anyway, I don't know what they were going to end up seeing, but she's got a bunch of really fun stuff planned for like the week that the rest of the time that he's here. So she was telling me all about that. And then, yeah, and that was about it. And then Tanya, her stepdaughter and the grandkids are still in town. So that was why we didn't go to our meeting tonight. Because she wanted to stay at home and like hang out with it. I think they were going like tubing or something close to where she lives. So we did not go to the meeting tonight. So in all honesty, like as much as I miss going to the meeting, I have been like going I'll just say something in a second. I have been going so much recently. You know, even back in the day, I would miss like every 3rd week or something like that, you know. But I've been going so much that I have to say I'm not too sad about missing this week. But anyway, I have gotten comments on, it happens more in my drama videos, honestly. But I do get the comment over here a little bit. And it's about my using the word like. And I think it doesn't like really bother me when I get the comment, but I think it's like if like there's certain comments that people say like that are directly about you. It's like some comments like, you know, you could just care less about. But I think it's because that's a comment that I've always gotten in my life from people that weren't very nice to me, that would say, you know, oh my God, like. But it's been something that I've always said ever since I was 5 or 6 years old, that I've used that word, you know, very Valley Girl-ish kind of thing back in the day. And it's funny because I've been getting that comment more and more recently. And I'm kind of like, there I just said it. But I'm kind of, you know, am I starting to say it more than I used to say it? Or did I not used to say it as much as I'm saying it now? But here's the thing about it. You know, I would say like my first year on YouTube, when people would make really mean comments about my voice and say, you know, oh, your voice causes my ears to have cancer. I used to get comments like that. Or, you know, oh God, your voice is like like a 16-year-old girl. Why do you sound that way, or whatever? And what happened over time, and it was really kind of a little bit because of my vlog, because you guys were so nice and there were so many people that would say, I fall asleep to your voice is so soothing, I love your voice. And I think what happened, and especially because before that, Alex and I had done these spots where we would be on the radio like every Friday. It was a long time ago, but we would, I don't even remember what it was called now, but it was like just this like thing where we would pick out like 2 or 3 like hot things to do in Indianapolis. And so we would like call in on a Friday morning, and then we were part of like this radio show on this radio station here in town. Well, when you hear your voice on the radio, or you hear it like on an answering machine or voicemail or whatever, you know what your voice sounds like, right? So it's like, you know, when you grow up and you kind of don't know what your voice sounds like, and then all of a sudden you hear it on a voicemail or like on a video or whatever. I think we live more in a world now where we kind of know what our voices sound like. So it's been a while since I've known what my voice, I mean, when I speak now, I know, like, I'm hearing my own voice, you know? And so I think what happened over time was I just became so accustomed to my voice, and I was like, I'm such a believer in being in love with yourself and accepting yourself for who you are, that I was like, you know, there's all these people out there that are saying like they like my voice, they fall asleep to my voice, whatever. You know, you can choose to look at the negative, or you can choose to look at the positive about it. And I just over time chose to look at the positive, and you know, started saying to because I hated my voice like my entire life. In fact, you know, back in the day, people would laugh because my voicemail in my office, you know, when I worked in treatment, I would drop my voice like 2 octaves. I don't even know why. It wasn't like, I mean, any other time that I was talking when I was working, I was just this voice, right? But, or if they met me in person, they'd be like, oh, your voice sounds so different. You must have had a cold when you recorded your voicemail, you know? And so I think what just happened over time was I just thought, you know, this is my voice. There's actually a video that I saw on YouTube, and it was all about like these gay men, or maybe it was a documentary I watched about gay men that went to vocal coaches to change their voice. And I just thought it was so sad. I thought, you know, you're given one life, and I don't even know when I saw the documentary, 3-4 years ago, but it's like you're given one life, and you do with. I remember I had this professor and this mentor of mine when I was in graduate school, and we were talking about something, and she said, you know, you do with what you're given, and I think I said something to her. She was like, what did you want to be when you were in high school? And I was like, I wanted to be a runway model. And she was like, well, why weren't you a runway model? And I said, because I'm 5'10", I'm not 6'1". And she goes, we do with what we're given, you know? And I think it's so true, you know? And so over time, I just kind of accepted that this is my voice and this is who I am, and it's just part of who I am, and I love myself, and I'm not going to be super hard on myself about those things, because I want to enjoy my life that I've been so graciously given and accept it. Did you guys notice I moved the plant a little bit? I had to. It was like every time I would vlog, it would be like right in my face. So flash forward, I start getting all these comments about like, and me saying this in videos and stuff. And I don't know if it's just because I've been reading comments more lately or whatnot, that I've noticed it more, but I am who I am. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna go in and change it. You know, I think there was like, I read it on one video. I don't know what it was. It must have been a video that I was being real, because what happens is I notice, like, especially like I just said, I notice what happens is, you know, when I'm like in a drama video and I'm flipping fans and I'm being real funny, ha 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 ha, 2 things happen. My lisp comes out and I start saying like a lot and whatever, and girl and all that, you know? And either people love it or they hate it, and they don't know what, like, they're like all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, what's this side of Peter, you know? And I think, to be honest with you, when I'm really comfortable on camera is when it comes out. And that kind of makes me sad that there are people out there that when I'm the most comfortable, they have the biggest issues with me. And so I have to ask myself the question, you know, when I was reading those comments, I was like, do you want to go in and change everything about who you are? It's like, you know, I would get comments on my vlog where people would say, he slaps himself. You remember when I would sit out on the patio and they'd say he slaps himself. And it's like, you know, and I would like kind of take that in. And I think I talked about that. And it's like, you know, I'm very aware of the things, the comments that I get from people, but it's, you know, and I don't want people to not feel like they can comment, you know, it's my issue what I do with that, you know, how I read into it or whatever. But, you know, for me, it's taken 6.5 years for YouTube to become such a safe place that I can be myself on camera and be vulnerable and share stories of my life and things like that, especially on this channel. I'm not willing to watch the words that I say, and if like comes out of my mouth every other sentence, then so be it. And that's who I am. And only reason I'm discussing this is because I want this to be a lesson to other people that constantly watch who they are around certain people, whether that be in a work environment, around family, around friends, because they're so worried of what other people will think about them. Screw it. Who cares, you know? You're only given one life. Be yourself. And the other thing I've learned in my life is that those people that love me the most for who I am, when I am truly being myself, are the people that I'm going to attract into my life. I mean, I want those people around me. I don't want people around me that I have to be somebody completely different for. Like, that's not comfortable for me, you know? If you ever watch Roseanne, when Jackie was dating Fred, and Roseanne had such a huge issue with it because she said, you are never yourself around Fred. Like, Fred has never known who you are. Like, he really has never been able to see who you are. And it was really about Jackie was so afraid that if she showed Fred who she was, that Fred would leave her. And that was her fear. And I think that I don't even know why I'm going on and on about this, but I think that's a lot of people's fear in life, you know, is that if we show people who we truly are, if we are, you know, unapologetically ourselves, people will leave us. That people won't stick around because they won't like what we have to offer, you know? Tanya and I were talking about this one night because we ran into this guy at the gas station. This was the night that we went shopping in Hamilton Town Center, and we ran into this guy that we hadn't seen like in months that used to come to our home group, this older guy. And when we were leaving, she said, and I mean, I was real friendly to him too. I was like, hey, it's good to see you and whatever. And she goes, he's such a nice guy. He's always nice. And I go, is he though? And she goes, what? Like, do you have an issue with him? And I go, I mean, he's just made some comments to me, you know, through the years. And she's like, what did he say to you? Like, what did he say? And I said, well, the last time that I was at a meeting with him, maybe not the last time, maybe the second to the last time, we were in, you know, we split up into small circles. And he said to me, I was talking, and when I got done talking, he was next to share, and he looked directly at me, which, just so you know, in a 12-step program, you don't look at somebody in a meeting and challenge their share, because all we're doing in a meeting is sharing our experience, strength, and hope. So, like, I would never look at somebody in a meeting. You don't cross-talk. When you see in, like, movies and TV shows, like, this killed me about Manifest, when I watched this in Manifest, because anybody that was writing this and including it, they had never obviously been to a 12-step meeting, because in a 12-step meeting, it's not group therapy. You know, like, there's not somebody that's leading the group. I mean, there might be a chairperson, but no person is more important than the next. And so you don't look at somebody and go, I disagree with what you said. I mean, that would be frowned upon in a meeting, like greatly frowned upon. And, I mean, it would be like timed out, like that would be stopped. All you do is share your experience, strength, and hope. And so, like, when people share, they say things like, well, I was always taught. So if somebody brings up a topic, I don't know, about resentment or something, you know, like, I would say, I wouldn't look at the person, like, I'm just making this up, right? But if this person said, you know, like, I'm so resentful at my grandma because she didn't get me the Christmas presents that I wanted and whatever, you know, and, you know, And if I shared, I wouldn't look at that person and go, you should be really grateful that you have your grandma here. And I wish I had my grandma, because if I had my grandma, you know, I would take any presents that she gave me. Bless you. I wouldn't, you know, that's not how it works. In a meeting, what you say is, you know, well, I can only share my experience, strength, and hope. And what I was always taught was that resentments are unfulfilled expectations. And so when I'm resentful about something, I have to take a look at, you know, well, what is it that I'm resentful at? Well, I'm resentful that, you know, I didn't get what I wanted in the past, and that I'm holding on to that, and why am I holding on to that, and why is it affecting me today? And when I'm resentful about things, you know, like they, you know, so that's how we do things, okay? So this guy looked at me. It was his turn to share. I had shared. He looked at me and he goes, why do you always talk with your hands like that? He goes, girl. And I was like humiliated. I mean, like, and nobody else said anything in the group. I mean, like, you know, it wasn't like anybody like called it out. After the meeting, a couple of the guys, the older guys, came up to me that were in the group, and they said that was completely uncalled for. I'm really sorry that, and I was like, it's no problem. Like, I understand, whatever, you know, he's got his issues. It's whatever. I didn't hate him for it. It was whatever. But it just was like, and he said something to me about I should sit on my hands, like when I talk, because I use my hands too much when I talk. You know, back in the day, 25, 30 years ago, when I was in high school, I would have sat on my hands. I would have become the person that didn't talk with my hands. You can see I'm talking with my hands right now, because I wouldn't have wanted anybody to say anything about it. I wouldn't have wanted to be the butt of the joke. I was so afraid of that. And I'm just like, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said something to me about, I don't even remember what they said, but I said, well, I'm a different person today. And today Peter Monn stands up for himself, you know? Like, there's been many times in my life, since I was 5 years old, that I never stood up for myself. Well, today I have integrity in my life. Today I'm a person of character. I stand up for myself today, you know? I haven't had the need to do that recently, but if given the opportunity, I mean, you know, I feel like I pick and choose battles in my life, which is good. And I'm not going to pick and choose a battle when somebody tells me, you know, to sit on my hands. I don't know. I probably would maybe like handle that a little bit different. I mean, that happened a couple years ago. I would probably handle that a little bit different today than I did then. I probably today would go up to him afterwards and I'd say, you know, that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, and that wasn't really a nice thing. The thing is, I know that he would have kind of laughed it off and been like, whatever, like he could care less. And so that's why I talk about picking my battles. And I do want to say this, in the 12-step program meetings that I have gone to, where it is, because I choose to go to mixed meetings, and by mixed meetings I mean, you know, all sexualities, you know, races, things like that, gender, it's like, you know, male, female, everything like that. I haven't come into contact really maybe once or twice with people that, I mean, and that's in 27. Do I have 27 years? 28 years? 28 years. That's in 28 years. I mean, because I don't go to specifically gay meetings, I have come into contact with maybe a few, I mean 2 to 3 people that have made kind of homophobic comments towards me. That is it, you know, and we just see each other as equal, you know, and so bound by our addictions and our recovery. And so I have never really encountered that before. I think I was kind of like taken off guard, you know, like I was really kind of surprised that he said anything at all. I was like, what's going on? But yeah, like I'm not, you know, I could get on video and all of a sudden be really conscious of all the times I say like, or, you know, when my voice slips into a lisp or whatever. And I'm not, you know, because it will be funny, because from time to time people will say, oh, Peter's lisp is out. And usually what happens is I bit my tongue, you know, and I'm working on getting my teeth back in order. But it's like, if I bite my tongue, you know, and that's usually because of something to do, like I've gone to the dentist recently or whatever. I haven't, but when I have, you know, that all of a sudden, like I'm lisping. And even my friends notice it. Like Tanya will say, like, you're like lisping more. Like I notice it. Or Valerie will say something. It doesn't really, that doesn't bother me, right? But if I were to be the person that all of a sudden was going to get on camera and be very, very careful that I never said the word like, or didn't use my hands, or, you know, didn't talk in a certain way or whatever, or was trying to meet the desires of those people that watched me, I wouldn't be being myself anymore. And then I wouldn't be authentically sharing who I am as a person. And that's all I got. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I appreciate when people share vulnerable sides of who they are, and they just genuinely share who they are as human beings, you know? Because that's all they got. That's all we got, you know? Share who you are. Don't be afraid to share that. I love when people are just... I'm trying to think of an example of somebody that... Oh, I don't know. This chair sounds like a fart, doesn't it? I always have to do it a couple times so you guys know I'm not sitting here farting on camera. Being unapologetically myself, I guess. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm trying to think of somebody that we know that is like that. I know Alex is listening to everything I'm saying, so he's probably up there thinking too. Can you think of anybody that I know that's like that?
Like what?
He's not listening. Never mind.
Unapologetic themselves?
Yeah.
Me?
I knew he was going to say that.
You don't think so?
You don't think you ever worry about what other people think about you?
I don't think so.
I mean, he really doesn't too much.
I mean, not today. You could be in high school.
You know, it's interesting. We talk about, like, oh, it's high school, get over it, you know, or, you know, whenever I would share stories, people would be like, it's been so long ago, get over it, right? But then when we defend people that are younger, we say, well, they're in their foundation years. They're not really an adult until they're 25. They're still growing developmentally, right? And so if you think about it, the entire time that I was growing developmentally, you know, from 5 until 18, that entire time, 13, 14 years of developmental growth, emotional developmental growth, I was bullied. You think about that, you know, and it's like, I can remember when we were seeing our first counselor, I was in, and I've shared this before, but I think it's important to talk about, when I was in an individual session with him one day, we were talking about that, and he said, because I was talking about, you know, like, never knowing where something's gonna come from next, you know? And he said, well, where did you learn that from? And I said, I learned that when I was in school. And he said, what was that like for you? And I said, I mean, it was every day. And I didn't know who it was gonna happen from. I didn't know when it was gonna happen. I didn't know. It was constantly like this, you know, it was like battle zone. I mean, that was elementary, junior high, high school. I mean, at junior high, there were like 2 years where I was just kind of left alone. And in some ways, I feel like that was worse. And I've even said that on here, because it was just like I didn't exist. And that was hard, you know, to just walk through the halls and like nobody say hi to me. Nobody ever, I mean, there were entire days I went through school where not a teacher, not a student would say hi to me. It was like 8 in the library. It was literally like I didn't exist. Like I just looked through that, back to that period. It's so interesting too, because I wore a lot of black clothing during that period. And that was kind of when I started like listening to music and becoming on my own, like musically, like who I really liked. And that just was such a dark period for me. And I don't even know that at the time, like I don't even know that I realized it until I started talking about it on a vlog actually one time. But our therapist said, he said, I really think that you suffered from some PTSD as a result of being bullied. And you know, it wasn't so much that he said it, okay? Like that's the, like, when I talk about this, it's important that like I clarify this. It wasn't so much that he said it, like that I need to be, you know, diagnosed with PTSD as a result of bullying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care about that. Like, I do think it's important that people get diagnosed appropriately, and if you have PTSD to take care of it and things like that. But what I'm saying in context of this story or this telling is, it wasn't in that moment that it was important to me that he did that. What was important for me was that it was the first time in my life, okay, at what, 48, 47 years old, that somebody had validated the seriousness of what I went through. And that was a pretty big deal, you know, that like for the first time I was seen, I was heard, and that, I don't know, it's just like a really big deal to me when he said that to me. And I can remember I just started sobbing in his office because I had never really felt like I had been seen before. You know, I had shared with so many people, you know, it's gonna stop, hold on a second. Okay. I had shared with so many people, you know, this on YouTube or whatever, the story of being bullied and the story of what I went through and whatever. And what happened to me up until that point was that when anybody would come for me, my MO, my go-to action was to shut down and go within, because that was really what had happened to me. That's really what I did for so many years, was that when anybody, you know, would say anything or do anything, you know, I learned some things by being bullied. I learned that if you shut your mouth and you didn't fight back, that they would forget you over time and they would go into the next person at least for a day or two. You know, I learned that it was easier to not say anything than to engage, because if you engaged, then it just made it bigger, you know? And I carried that into adulthood. I don't know that I necessarily believe that today, you know? We interviewed the author Jay Bell, who writes a lot of LGBT, like young adult fiction. And we asked him the question, this was like years and years and years ago. We asked him the question, if you, like, we're speaking to somebody that was younger, that was being bullied, what would you teach that? Or what would you tell them? And he said, I would tell them to fight back. I'll never forget this because it was so different than what everybody else had told me. He said, I would tell them to fight back because they're not going to make it any worse than it already is. And I thought, not one person ever said that to me. Not one person ever said, fight back, you know, speak up, say something. No teachers wanted to help. Nobody wanted to help. You know, it was my friends, my girlfriends that I had, like in high school, they did. You know, I mean, they were pushing people down stairs that were mean to me. And, you know, I mean, they were screaming in the hallways. I mean, my girlfriends were badasses. They had my back, you know, and I'm thankful for it. If it wasn't for them, I don't know that I would have made it through high school, honestly. But, you know, I look at that and I carried that way to deal, I think, with confrontation, not just bullying, but confrontation. That's how I dealt with confrontation, you know, whether it was with my mom and I or anybody, you know, in work environment, whatever, you know. I think I dealt with confrontation way into my adult life by not dealing with it, not, you know, saying a whole lot, not whatever. I mean, it really took severe situations for me to actually speak up and say, okay, this is not okay, you know. That's not who I am today. And today I would, you know, I think I would have to, it would depend on the situation. I would, you know, I would really, like, I would, you know, my sponsor always says to, you know, like, pray on it and think about it. You know, there's people in my life that I talk to today, definitely like Alex and her and, you know, Tanya, and I would take it to a meeting and, you know, and really think about, you know, like, okay, well, am I best served by speaking up and dealing with this and confronting it? Or is it better something that's left, you know, not to deal with? Because there's a lot of situations that come up in my life today, even though, like, I'm, you know, not a pushover, that I just kind of let go because I'm like, it's, to be honest, it's not worth the battle. And I would rather have peace and serenity in my life than the battle. But I also think it's important to send out a message that I'm not going to, you know, yes, I want peace and serenity, and so I'm not going to engage in the argument, but you're not going to F with me either. You know, I think it's important to send that message out to people, and that's what I learned in therapy, right? Was that it's okay for me to set limits and boundaries. But here's the deal. You know, Tanya says this a lot. She's like, you know, I was, you know, I gave and I gave. Tanya's such a giver, you know. She's like, I gave and I gave and I gave. And I never said no to anybody for the majority of my life. That now that I set limits and boundaries, people think I'm a bitch, you know. And she's like, if I ever set limits and boundaries with people, they go, oh, why are you being a bitch? She's like, I'm not being a bitch. I'm setting limits and boundaries. I'm sure there's some of you out there right now that are nodding your head saying, I totally relate. Because I do. You know, it's like when I started saying, okay, this isn't right, this isn't okay, I'm not gonna, this is not how I'm gonna be treated. It was only then that certain people in my life stopped existing and staying around, and or number two, started questioning why I was setting those limits and boundaries, you know. But that was when started feeling better about myself. And that was also, I think, when I started realizing my own self-worth and started realizing, I'm important enough to stand up for, and I deserve to stand up for myself, and you do too. All of you out there deserve to know your own self-worth and that you're good enough and that you deserve to stand up for yourselves. I also know that, like, I got in this argument with my dad. This was probably like 12 or 14 years ago. I don't know. I just realized how many times I said like and rest. See, now that I've talked about it, I'll notice it all the time. But I was talking to him on the phone, and I can't even really honestly remember what it was about. We kind of got in this argument on the phone, and he said to me, "You are going to end up just like your mother." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Your mother didn't know how to pick a battle." Now, what's scary to me about that is I get older. I don't know if you guys have realized this as you get older, but you either become more like one parent or more like both, or you're kind of split down the middle. And I'm kind of split down the middle. I'm kind of, in some ways, a lot like my dad, and in other ways, a lot like my mom. And I don't know that I got the best of both, if that makes sense, I think as I get older, I pick up the best of both pieces of them because it's easier to rationalize as you get older and look at it. But I definitely feel like there was kind of like a streak that I went through where I was very much like my mom. I mean, my mom literally would battle anybody over anything to be right. She was a right fighter. She always wanted to be right. And that didn't matter if it was something political, something philosophical, or just the recipe to a deviled eggs, or to deviled eggs. I mean, she wanted to be a right fighter. So she was always right. Caroline and I were telling the story about my mom's 60th birthday. We're talking about this over Christmas when, Caroline and Kathy, my Aunt Kathy, took my mom to Chicago for her 60th birthday. And it was kind of a fun trip, but it ended up being so crazy because this one situation, we were in this restaurant. My aunt is a realtor, and my mom was talking about some neighborhood that she was, that she liked, and she was thinking about possibly moving into it, and said something about it being zero property line or whatever. And my aunt said, "No, it's not." And my mom said, "Yes, it is." They were sitting right next to each other in this, we were on this large table kind of booth area. It's a very nice Italian restaurant, in kind of like the side streets of Chicago, off Walnut or Oak or something like that street. It was a real cute Italian restaurant that my aunt had picked out and found. And my mom goes, "No, it's not." And my aunt goes, "Yes, it is. I think I would know. I'm a realtor." And my mom goes, "No, it's not." And my aunt took her arm, and my mom used to talk about how they used to fight like this, when they were in high school and kids and stuff like that. She took her arm and she put it in my mom's, or took her hand and put it in my mom's arm to the point where she it was hurting my mom's arm. My mom was like, "Kathy, it's my birthday. You're hurting my arm." I mean, it was so bad. And we had to separate them, stuff like that. And that was the thing. My mom just didn't know when to let things go. Who cares about a property line, or zero property line? Nobody cares, right? But my mom wouldn't let something go. It was constantly like that. With me, she did it. I always sing the praises of my mom. I always talk about this, that when somebody dies, we thank them. We never talk about the negative things about them. I mean, I talk about my mom being an alcoholic, but she got sober as well. But there were a lot of personality traits about my mom that I do not want to inherit. And that was definitely one of them, was that she did not know how to pick her battles. And she would get in arguments with people all the time and then want to know why, friends didn't want to be around her, or she didn't get invited to something, and then she'd be upset. And I knew, that my mom could be really, really difficult and things like that. And it just was hard. And she most often was difficult with my aunt. And I think it was because part of it, I noticed, over time that my mom was less difficult with people that were on the fringe of her life, if that makes sense, acquaintances, friends, and things like that. But with Kathy, my Aunt Kathy, she wasn't. And I think the reason why she was so difficult with her was because she knew she wasn't going anywhere. My aunt used to call me up and she would say, she would be so upset. My mom would have gone over there And then they would get in some huge fight, and my aunt would call me up bawling, and she'd say, if your mother wasn't my sister, she wouldn't be in my life. I mean, she was so upset, but at the same time, you know, she would make a pot of chili, a pot of soup. She'd bake my mom a loaf of bread. I mean, she took care of her, you know. My mom wouldn't have fed herself. She'd like buy a gallon of ice cream, you know. I mean, that's how she took care of herself. So, you know, my aunt really took care of my mom up till the very end. Like, I can remember in the hospital room after my mom passed away, my aunt was literally hysterical and was like screaming at the nurse, like, where does she go now? Where do we need to take her now? And the nurse was like trying to explain to her that they were going to take her down, you know, to the basement, to the mortuary, or to the what's it called, the morgue or whatever. And my aunt, I mean, literally, I mean, I can still see it in my head, and it's so bizarre. And my aunt was like, well, I have to go with her. Like, she can't be alone. She can't sleep down there by herself. And I was like, and my uncle was like, Kathy, let Peter be with his mom for a couple minutes. Like, you're not going, there's no sleeping to be done here. And she's like, I mean, literally had to be pulled from the hospital room because her entire life she had taken care of my mom, you know. But at the same time, they had such this caustic relationship that was so toxic, you know. I don't know, it kind of makes me sad. My mom, like, for years, always wanted to go to therapy with my aunt. She would say, I just wish that Kathy would go to therapy with me and we could fix these things and we could have such a better relationship. And I really think they would have, but I also think it would have really brought out a lot of things that maybe they both didn't want to deal with. I don't know. This vlog went in a real weird direction, didn't it, tonight? That's the chair, not me farting again, I swear. I mean, I wasn't farting before. It was the chair before. But anyway, yeah, this vlog is like, it's been a lot tonight. Last night I ate some of the olives and chips. I love those Harvest Cheddar chips so much. Oh my God, I love them. And then I had some Pringles. I haven't eaten anything today. Alex had his hummus last night. Did you eat your whole thing of hummus? He's not listening to me. He must have his earphones on or something. I've got to actually figure out how to use my new Beats that he got me, which if you would know that if you watch my video on my Peter Does Stuff channel about what I got for Christmas. Did y'all see that? It's 8:01. It's 8:01 in the house. House of love. House of love. So long story short, well, long story long, and now I'm going to shorten the ending. I'm not willing to change who I am, you know? And those people that like me will continue to watch and listen to my annoying voice, which I don't think is annoying. I think what the other thing is, too, is that, you know, do I think that my voice is different? I think it's different probably than most people, you know, but I think everybody's voice is different. Do I think it fits me? Yeah. I think that I like people with unique characteristics about them, you know? I do. I think that's what makes us all interesting. What a boring world it would be if we were all the same. I wouldn't want that, you know? So I'm looking at this Christmas tree and stuff, and I'm thinking, like, when do I need to take this Christmas tree down? I was actually going to take it down today, but time got away. Time flies when you're having fun. Afternoon delight. Time got away from me today, and I just didn't get it done. So, it looks pretty. I have been, like, when I would sit down here and watch, like, movies and stuff at night or TV shows, I would plug it in. It was so pretty late at night. And Sally Joe and the gnome, Big Papa, over there. I will say one thing about having a small tree, upstairs and down, it's super easy to take down. Like, it took a half an hour to put up. It will take less than that to take down, which is really nice. So if you are ever thinking about downsizing your tree, that is one really big positive about it, is that you just put it in the box. Well, I have to take the ornaments off. Oh, you know what's so interesting is I was talking about my Aunt Kathy's ornaments. Maybe it was on the Peter Does Stuff channel that I did that, because I did a video of putting the video up, or putting the thing up. And I can't remember what the ornaments are called, but they're called Peter Roth something. But anyway, I thought they were metal. And what's so interesting is, so Caroline, she split the ornaments up, all of my aunt's ornaments. She kept a lot of them, like the majority of them, but then she split them up between myself and her cousin on her other side. And so she was like, you know, these were, because they were her mom's favorites. She collected them. And I had, like, the first year I put the tree up, I broke, like, 2 of them. One of them was, like, a big one that I broke. I think it was, like, a Santa Claus or something. And I was devastated over it. And so what was so interesting was when I was talking about it in my video, there were like 3 or 4 people that commented and they said, they're not metal, they're painted glass. And I didn't know that. I had no clue because they look like metal, you know, and they sound like metal. But apparently they're painted glass. So, gotta be awfully careful with them. But they are so pretty. I think the little flocked Christmas tree looks so nice. But now I'm ready to count down to the swimming pool. Countdown to to spring and the swimming pool. Those are the 2 countdowns we're gonna go on. So anyway, all right, you guys, listen, I am going to get off here now so I can start rendering this video and get it up and make sure that my other videos get up. And I'm gonna think, it's the chair. I swear it's not me farting. Anyway, I hope that you guys, I haven't even eaten anything bad that would make me do that today. Anyway, I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Tuesday. Thank you for hanging out with me and having a little bit of a conversation piece. Dangling conversation, Simon and Garfunkel said. And I used to love them so much. I never listen to them anymore. Anyway, remember these 3. Oh, if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Remember these 3 very important things. 1, you can start your day over whenever you want. 2, or your week if you need to. 2, you can start your week over if you need to. 2, practice random acts of kindness, but shh, don't tell anyone. And 3, most importantly, make sure that you reach out. I don't know if it's most importantly, but whatever. It sounds most important. 3, most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. Just say hi, text them, call them, send a postcard, send a letter, put a smile on their face, and send a video. They would love that, you know? Send several videos, send pictures, send whatever, send a gift. And yeah, so also be kinder to one another, love one another a little bit more, and be kinder and love yourself a little bit more. And I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.